Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So here we are, Southeastern Truck National Week, and boy am I behind schedule. Oh man, seems like every day I keep falling farther and farther behind. So it is now Wednesday, 2 days prior to the show. I still haven't been able to get out here and do really anything. So today what we're going to do real quick-ish, is get this alignment sorted out where this thing is towed in extremely bad on both sides. So we're going to get Steve sorted out there. And then I still haven't addressed the emergency flashers. So for right now, I just pulled the little flasher solenoid. Just pulled that out for now. But that sucks because every time I hit the brakes, the front marker lights kick on. that type of stuff aggravates the crap out of me. So that ain't gonna fly for long. So we're gonna try and get all that stuff knocked out here real quick, because then I gotta drag this back outside, give it a good wash. So that way everything's ready to go for this truck, and then I can get Big John pulled in and do a little bit of maintenance on it, and hopefully tomorrow I can get it washed and maybe a little spit shine on that. I'd like to do both of the trucks because I got a little haze here and there on different parts. I don't know if you can even see, there's a little bit of haze coming in here on the hood. It looks shiny as hell, but and it is pretty shiny, but I can see swirl marks and some sanding marks in there from last time I wet sanded it. So it's definitely due for another quick buffing, but I ain't got time to do it. So we're gonna go Good Enough. It's just gonna get washed, and that's pretty much it. Once I get the mechanical stuff sorted out. So I'm gonna get on it, and as soon as I get Jackson out here to give me a hand, and we'll catch back up with you here in just a second. All right, folks, so still waiting on Jackson to get out here, so I figure why not get cracking on getting this steering column broke open so I can get this hazard light thing fixed. So sorry about pulling the horn button off. Some are more difficult than others. Then we got to pull this little clip off. This clip of mine is actually broke, but it's still hanging out. Then we got to take I think I gotta take these little screws out. And this has been apart a couple of times when I first got the truck, fixing random things. That little plastic ring, I think that breaks on every one of them. And if I remember correctly, this little cup here is the ground contact for the horn, if I remember correctly. Horn doesn't work on this truck, so I am not that concerned with it. All right. Then we got to get this nut off, which is a 13/16. This nut shouldn't be too terribly tight, just because it doesn't have to be. So yeah, just a little bit of torque to get the brake loose. I guess I got a boogered thread in there somewhere. So there's that. Get this little fella off of there. All right. So now we're ready to pull the steering wheel off. So if it's been off and on a bunch, a lot of times you can actually take and just kind of walk it off just by pulling on it. Other times you have to go and rent the puller. I rented the puller just because I didn't want to run back out in case I can't walk this off by hand. So I'm gonna try that, but first I gotta set the camera down because I need both hands. All right, let's see if we can't walk this guy off. And of course, it's the sticky steering wheel for GM, since they all like to do that. No, that ain't gonna walk off. All right, folks, so let's face some harsh realities here. Whenever you borrow or you rent a tool from the parts house, you can't expect perfect. So I rented this set last year, year before, something like that. I don't remember. It wasn't Steve. I was pulling the steering wheel off of it. It was something else. And there were parts missing. Actually, actually, no, I'll take that back. It wasn't missing parts, because the 2 bolts that go here are the bolts that I needed. They're also just so happen to be the bolts I need for this one. And that's actually a bolt I put in there last year. And now that other one's gone. So some knucklehead had decided to cross thread and strip the absolute dog crap out of the bolts that were in the kit. The one that I replaced, it was so bad there was no saving it. So I pitched that bolt. I threw one of mine in there, called it good. Told the guys there at the store, was like, hey, y'all might want to order another kit because this one's getting abused pretty good. Apparently that didn't happen. So whenever I picked it up from the store, always check your tools if you're renting them from the store. Make sure that you note that they're missing parts if they're missing parts. This one was missing a bolt. The guy saw it. I told him, I was like, yeah, it's missing a bolt. And as a matter of fact, that's the bolt I put in it last year. So the one that's original to the kit is gone. I think everybody has a bolt box or a bolt drawer or something along those lines. And I went digging in mine and ended up finding a couple of bolts that'll work. One's a little bit longer than the other, probably about a 1/2 inch. But they're the right thread, they're the right, right pitch, right size, everything's right. So I'm gonna use my bolts. I'm not gonna worry about any of the bolts here, because it doesn't take a whole lot of pressure to get this thing to slide and start coming off. So I'm gonna set the camera back up and get back to it. So one of the keys to this is making sure you get her lined up in the middle. Currently, I do not have this thing lined up in the middle. All right, that is now lined up in the middle. So, ideally, you want this guy down as well. See if we can spin it down there. And I probably should have put washers on this. Let's turn this guy just a touch. There we go. Probably should have put washers on this so it doesn't pull through, but it shouldn't. And then now all we gotta do is just crank down this center bolt, which should pull the wheel. There it goes. Easy peasy right there. Alrighty, so a lot of people get stuck at this point because you've got this little lock ring right there that's got to come out. So people get in here and they'll start prying. You can see where somebody was taking this apart at one time, and no, this was not me. I know about that little snap ring, but somebody was in here with a screwdriver prying, and you can see where there's prying on the column in a bunch of different spots, trying to get this thing to break loose. And like the plastic's broken right here, and stuff like that. So this little guy right here, it is a pain to get out, but you got to get that out in order to get everything else done. There is a trick to it. I like to use a little pick because you can get down in there and you can get a hold of it and get it pulled out. But there is a trick to this where you have to push in on 2 sides to make a little room, and then you get a pick in there and you can pop it out. But that requires 2 hands, and since I'm holding the camera with one, that ain't gonna work. So let me set the camera back down and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you take your thumbs and you just pushes in, I don't know, 1/8 inch, pushes in a little bit, and this little guy may be a little bit sprung anyways, so you can take and just kind of push. It's easier with your thumbs than it is with a knuckle, but this guy's already starting to work his way out. And that spring back there ain't no joke. It puts up a hell of a fight. But if you can at least get one edge up, you can start working your way around it and work on trying to get her out of there. And notice I'm using one that's got a bent up tip on it, because this will ruin the end of a pick if you ain't careful, especially the little cheapies from the auto parts places. And again, they probably make a tool for this, but I don't have it, so anyways, rings off. I'll take that and kind of reshape it. I'll find something the right diameter or close enough and knock that back round like it should be. Then you can pull your little collar thingy off. I did find my button, so you can kind of see what happened to it. Let me see if I can get it around the camera here. You can kind of see what happened to it. It broketed.
All right. I broke my nose.
So I'm not sure how that guy actually mounts in there and what that little armature looks like on it. But we can start taking this guy apart a little bit. So we got to take this lever off for our signal indicator, the least used part of just about any rig. And don't go losing your screws now. And then we got a screw down here. A magnetic tipped screwdriver is a good investment for this. And of course I didn't grab a magnetic one. And you have to turn this, you know, basically signal right to get the other screw. Nope, and there's one more right over here. I was thinking there was 3. So now we got our 3 screws out. We should be able to gently, let me emphasize that, gently pull this out. You don't want to pull too hard because it is attached to a bunch of wires. And you don't want to break this little collar, because this little collar is a booger to find replace. It is really hard to see what I'm doing here. And like I said, I don't know exactly how this whole armature works. So we're going to figure that out here in just a minute. Let's see. So that is left turn. That's no turn. That's right turn. It would be nice if there's a lot more wire on this where you could actually pull it off the column. So you could actually kind of see what's going on. Okay. You want one of my screws? All right, so I pulled the little relay out for the emergency flasher, so I'm gonna plug that back in real quick and let's see if it's still going. I have a sneaky suspicion this little contact was pushed down, which then does everything, but let's see if we can't figure it out. Okie doke. Well, good news is emergency flashers aren't going. Let's see. Well, I don't know what fixed it, but it's fixed. Whatever. If I had more time, I would probably get in here and dig around and see if I can't figure out exactly how this little mechanism works. Because to be honest, I don't know. I've never fiddled with it, so I just don't know. Let me go fix my boogered up thing here. Well, it ain't perfect, but it's definitely better than it was. So we'll get this guy back on here, get this little lock ring in place. So every once and again when I'm doing something for the 100th time, I'll sit there and go, there's got to be a better way to do this. There is. And so what I was doing just a minute ago was trying to push this in and roll this down with my fingernails, bending my fingernails back, and not being able to get this thing seated all the way, you know, pushed all the way down and push that little ring in at the same time. So, solution, get a 3/4 inch deep well socket. This one is a 1/2 inch drive flavor. That should slide over everything, but should have enough grab to grab that little ring and push it on in. Then you can just slide up a little bit, push it down with your fingers, and then push that socket on down with your chest. Of course, it appears as though this guy has slid down. All right, so the shaft actually slid in a little bit. I had to put a nut on it, pull it back out. Now let's give that a shot and let's see if we can't make this thing work like I imagine it would. Boom. And then we just make sure she's all set in place. Yeah, 3/4 inch socket. Slides right over, seats that freaking lock ring. If I'd only thought of that sooner, life could have been so much easier. Okay, so now going in reverse here. I'm trying to remember which end went first. Let's see, this guy goes in next, if I remember correctly. And you better bet I'm keeping my friggin' bolts. All right. So now, get that on there. Let's get our nut back on there. And then let's get our safety clip back in, or our 3/4 of a safety clip. Some safety's better than no safety. And horn button, which doesn't work because my horns never worked. Now this leads me up to a very important lesson. Always check and make sure you put all your pieces and parts back in before you finish putting the freaking steering wheel back together. I forgot to put my indicator light back on there. So here we go. Gotta take her back apart. Dang it. Hey, if it's worth doing once, it's worth doing twice, you know what I mean? Okay, there we go. Everything's hooked up. Emergency flashers are not going. I can turn the truck on. And I got my blinkers back. I got my parking lights back. Everything's good to go. All right, folks, Jackson finally joined us. So now we're going to measure. We're going to measure from this groove here on the this outside groove on the tire. Boy, you can see where it was just scrubbing the crap out of that corner. But we're going to measure from this groove here on this tire and on the other side, on the front, and then we're going to measure it on the back, and we're going to see what we got. Up a little bit. A little bit more. Okay. Hold it. And it's on that outside groove, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Hold on,
Yep, get it in the groove and just hold it there.
All right, we're good.
All right. So we're going to measure to this outside edge right over here, and that's going to put us at what is that? 71 9/16. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So 71 9/16 on the front side. We go. And then on this side, I have 73 7/16. All right. So 71 9/16 on the front, 73 7/16 on the back, which means that we're almost 2 inches towed in, which is crazy. No wonder this thing was screaming going down the road. So let me slide back over here. So what we're going to do now is unbolt these guys, which will then allow us to crank this, and I don't remember which way goes where. I think I'll have to rotate it up, and then that should push this out. So we're going to want to push this guy out and then do the same thing on the other side to get it pushed out, and that should get us pretty close, at least a hell of a lot better than almost 2 inches worth. That's pretty terrible. So so I'm gonna get these guys broke loose, and we'll get to playing with this here in just a second, and I'll catch right back up with you. All right, I already got one side broke loose, being this guy. So I got him broke loose, and I just broke loose the other side. And let's see if we can't get a little tension off of this fella. Okay, so there's tension off of that. Let's see, which way is she turning? Okay, that's bringing it in. So we're going to go out. I'm sure there's an amount for how many turns equals how many, you know, inches or 1/4 inches or whatever. And they actually do make a tool for this as well. They make pretty much a tool for anything nowadays. So that's got this guy cranked out a little bit. Let me look down the side of the vehicle here and see what I see. That actually looks like it's pretty dead up. I'll have to get up and walk around and check it. They might need to go back in. I may have it pointed out a little bit. But, so I'm gonna let that guy sit like this for a second. I'm gonna go to the other side, get that broke loose and get it cranked out a little bit, and then we can start taking some measurements and figure out where we are. So once again, I'll be right back. Using the old eyeballs there, it looks like they're pointed pretty straight. Left side may still be pointing a little bit, or I should say right side may be pointing a little bit in, but we're gonna go ahead and put a tape on it and just kind of see where we're at right now. All right. Okay, so now we are showing 72 and 7/16. Let it go. So we took a full inch out.
Right there, good.
Why are we twisted?
Here and
Okay, come down.
get on there. Right there, good.
And then here we are, 72 and 7/16. So that is squared up. So now the fun part is, you can drop that off, son. So now the fun part is, they usually say you want about 1/8 of an inch of toe, which will help to pull the wheels, you know, back to center. So so I'm gonna take this guy and I'm just gonna turn it maybe one turn. I don't know how much I'm gonna have to turn it, but we'll turn it just a little bit and see what we get. Let's see, which way do I go to bring it in? I don't remember. Nope, that's pushing out. Okay. So, all right, son, go ahead and hook up on your side. Come down a little bit.
Right there, good.
Yeah. I think. Okay. So that definitely got us a 1/16 of an inch right there. Okay, so I'm gonna lock that guy down there. And then I'm gonna go to the other side. And on the other side, I'm gonna pull it back in a 1/16 of an inch. And that should have us pretty square within spec. So about 1/8 of an inch of toe. You know, on each, you know, a 1/16 of an inch pointed in on each side. So total toe of about 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to do that. Like I said, it looks like it's pretty straight, so I don't have to worry about, you know, both tires being kicked one way or the other and us getting the same measurements. It looks pretty doggone straight. True test to be, whenever I take it on the road, if it's pulling hard to the left, okay, then the wheels are kicking, you know, to the left. If it's pulling hard to the right, then they're kicking to the right. So so we'll check that once it gets out on the road. But at least now it's not pigeon-toed and it's not going to be continuing to chew up the tires. Because that corner right there, how smooth it is, it was just like this corner, nice and plenty of tread. That thing chewed the hell out of that up at about 10 miles. That's crazy. So anyways, I'm gonna go get that done on this other side and check back here in just a few. All right, so finished measuring her out on the other side, and there is about 1/8 of an inch worth of difference between the front and the back of the tires. It was 72.5 on the back, 72 3/8 on the front, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure that's right. There's been a lot of numbers. A lot of numbers. And it's hot. There's no relief. So now I'm doing is cranking down these collars. Already got the passenger side tightened down real good. That guy should be good to go. I'm gonna go get this guy cranked down. And then my battery dies. So I was gonna make one long video that was the repairs and the alignment and the repair to the steering column for Steve, and then go ahead and roll in the Southeastern Truck National footage right behind it and just make it a really long video. But that video is going to be, it's going to be long. So I think I'm just going to end it here, and I'll do a whole separate video for the Southeastern Truck Nationals, and we'll have that video next week. That'll give me a little bit more time to kind of put it together and make it, actually make sense. So, so that'll do it. I do appreciate y'all watching. If you haven't liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I have to say that every week. But I really do appreciate y'all guys watching, tuning in, asking questions, dropping comments. Hey, if you got any questions, comments, whatever, throw it out there. I'm pretty quick on the trigger on those. So anyways, just remember, guys and gals, it ain't got to be perfect, just good enough. And we'll see y'all next week.